Embrace Me. This is their... let me see here. Well, it's been a lot of albums. They've started kind of in the 90s, but didn't start getting big until the 2000s once Spencer Chamberlain had joined the band via the... hold on a second. Via that of They're Only Chasing Safety. However, they were with... the original singer was Dallas Taylor, I believe, for like technically 3 albums. 2 that you could kind of call EPs really, but that's here nor there with that. And he left. And that's when they were more of a metal band, really? Because technically they're considered metalcore, but really they're post-hardcore. Or at least they kind of went into post-hardcore by the point of the changing of times. And eventually became far more like a Taking Back Sunday, with maybe a little thrice stuff here and there when it comes to They're Only Chasing Safety. And then eventually it seemed like they were going to bring in some more metallic heavy sounding stuff when Define the Great Line happened and Lost in the Sound of Separation. And of course it seems that, and they were more of a Christian band, but now they're not so much, and it seems that in doing so they may have felt a little less restricted in what they wanted to do, at least on a lyrical perspective. Sonically, I'm not entirely sure, because I feel like, in fact, most people will tell you that our Underoath fans will say Disambiguation was not all that great. I'm one of those who, at least at first glance, listen to it and actually don't understand what was the problem. In fact, if anything, it just proved, even without Aaron Gillespie, that Spencer could still hold this band together as much as he could. Was it entirely the same as what they had before? Maybe not so much, but it didn't sound bad either. I mean, it may not have sounded something super different, I guess, from other bands that were more closer in metalcore, because that's what that record was. And I feel like this record seems to be this perfect cross-direction between where they might have left off with In the Sound of Separation, and with whatever... and while also sort of leaving off from Disambiguation, yet also kind of sort of hearing what Bring Me the Horizon was doing with their last record, That's the Spirit. And maybe whatever I've heard, or at least from what I've heard on that one, never really bothered to check it out, and I'm almost slightly curious to try to, but I'm not entirely sure, because I wouldn't be able to get behind whatever super atheist stuff that was going on, because here at least it's more agnostic, I guess, and there is some morsels of Christian themes still there, I guess, but it's not like at the forefront like it used to be when they were a Christian band, because now they're not, and they've lifted, and it seems like people are kind of dissing them for it, and I don't think they should. And at first I didn't care for Rapture as a song. I mean, it was definitely different from what they usually do, but it was totally... And I needed to hear the rest of the album, and it turns out the rest of the album is a little more like Rapture, which is what I was honestly afraid of at first, but the weirdest thing is it works. It actually works. Which I never thought I'd say that. Because I was already on board once I first, as I needed, when I heard On My Teeth, dude. Considerably the first 3 tracks, I mean, ironically, your first track starts out with It Has to Start Somewhere, which you just heard the beginning of. Opening this review. I mean, rap. And a lot of the themes that mostly deal with a lot of Spencer Chamberlain's inevitable turn to drug use, or turn back to it, I guess, because it seemed like Christianity had saved him, but then it turned out that was only really a temporary thing, because he still have those issues, and it's gotten, I guess, and it seems like it really delves into that and a lot of the themes of where he's at within the faith. And it seems that Aaron Gillespie is still considered, some members are still kind of Christian, some are not, so they couldn't really consider themselves as Christian because of that. And it seems they've been able to, and it seems to work here a lot. In fact, to the point where, having been a former Christian band, now not, all of a sudden, like, F-bombs are just, I mean, like, one time I hear shit, and then the rest, I hear a bunch of F-bombs. Like it's a new word to them, which technically it kind of is. But it's not, like, annoying about it. There's a purpose for it, to get a point across, which is something that you usually try to do with their music prior to having made the decision. And as far as I'm concerned, like, some the songs that really, like, the best songs I can honestly say from more of a sonic standpoint to me happen to be more in that of the Hold Your Breath, No Frame, In Motion, On My Teeth. It has to, even the opening track, that It Has to Start Somewhere, which is the longest song title on the album, luckily. And a lot of it's definitely kind of has some, like, a lot of the more, and Rapture's honestly grew on me a little bit more than before. The only songs that do kind of have its moments where it kind of just doesn't work as well is Wake Me and Sink With You. I mean, see, though lyrically they seem to be fine, it's just when it comes to trying to hit their catchy points, they don't really land in that regard. Or at least, Wake Me is just super, there's so much synthesizers going on in this. However, it's not like that, and vocally it seems that Aaron is kind of pushed to the background now, but he's not, but it's not like that matters, because he clearly makes up for all of that with his drumming. And it's just, wow. I mean, yeah, if you're a drummer, this album might actually get you. And there are a couple moments on this album, I mean, I kind of think it's Sink With You or Bloodlust. There were some moments that, or actually I think it was more No Frame. I think that track kind of has the bass lines and the way it syncs with some of the synthesized stuff. It comes off slightly ambient in a very shoegazy kind of way. Like, I'm thinking like Silver Sun Pickups kind of shoegazy. Like whatever ideas that they would do with this kind of weird bassliney groove and stuff, and with since it reminds me in that regard, which was kind of interesting at times. I mean, My Teeth was just kind of was a good first single to kind of pretty well say they're no longer a Christian band, just off of just their, and this is kind of mostly dealing with the disillusionment, the song itself being dealing with disillusionment in faith. Let's get this straight. I'm fine without you. I'm not your fucking prey, so save yourself and no one else. It's just, it's a lot. It's kind of a lot to take in, and I feel like some people are going to have some issues, but this is, if anything, at least for Spencer, I feel like this is the most personal. This is the most angriest album they've ever done, and I can't say it's the heaviest, per se, or at least at times when it does hit you, like with On My Teeth, in those kind of ways, it really does it. And even the moments like I Gave Up, like even the final closing track is actually pretty good for what it is. But they definitely like have this, it's almost, at first I thought Rapture had the guitars a little more buried, but, and to a degree they don't pop out nearly as much. The guitars themselves, if anything, the bass pops out usually here and there. The drums, and Aaron's drumming is fantastic. I mean, for me, it's kind of, I Hate It is one that really kind of made me wonder where to go with this. I used to think I had it all. Somehow I fell back into habits that tear me apart. I never got to say I'm sorry, but I can't sleep alone tonight. If it's good for me, it's good for you. If I die tonight, then I'll make it up to you. You're the only thing that gets me high, and I hate it. And I hate it. I'm tangled up in my own image, but I hate who's staring back at me. If it's the truth I seek, it's the truth you'll serve. If my soul is weak, then I'll make it up to you. It's more like, it kind of is to the point where his faith he got to the point of being so disillusioned that his faith no longer became enough, and he wound up having to turn to drugs itself. And it's kind of partially the reason as to why the band has been off for so long. He had been stuck up on that, and then he finally had to recover because he couldn't keep up this image that, being a Christian band kind of comes with sometimes. And that's something like I couldn't do. But I wouldn't want to turn to drugs. More likely it might be alcohol, but that's in my case. But I'm more easily just sociable about it, so I just hope I don't. But that's just me. Whatever. For in that regard, I'm just a user, because I used you up to my end. If you could see me now, I wear a beggar's crown. If I could turn back time, I wouldn't change a fucking thing. God, erase me. We don't deserve the life you give. I don't deserve the life you give. God, I can't change it all. We don't deserve the life you give. I don't deserve the life you give. Almost to the point where I don't even want your mercy. I don't deserve it. None of us do, as we shouldn't, in that regard, I guess. There's still, like they said, there's still some sense of a Christian thing to it, but it's more in the sense of lashing back at God, as opposed to, I guess, or in the sense that he's somewhat humble to the point, but not to the extent where he's willing to give himself back to God so much as it is he can no longer handle being what he is with towards him as a but yes, and of course some tracks do thematically, as the album does go, it seems they kind of do that at points. It does seem the sound kind of makes up what they do, and sound does come together and make up for some of the lyrics being sort of repetitive in terms of theme. But overall, this album, I somehow, I really do. I don't want to say this is super metal for what it is. It has its moments, as I've stated, when it comes to like All My Teeth. But not every song is super metal. It still kind of lingers in the same post-hardcore territory that the band has been known for, even since Spencer, more so since Spencer had joined the band. Or at least in that Define the Great Line, Lost in the Sound of Separation, and even, dare I say, Disambiguation. But yes, overall, Underoath's Erase Me is, for what it is, even though I'm not super electronic heavy when it comes to, depending on the albums and depending on how it's being used, I'd have to say this album right here, Underoath's Erase Me, for having been technically a newbie with Underoath. Technically, I've known about Underoath for years, but never dived in fully into it until this album. But I've went through their other albums. It's kind of in a skimmed way, just soaking in what I could with the sound and how they were as a band, and to just getting this out of it, and finding here's a couple nice little bass lines I wouldn't mind learning here and there, And there are times, I think, even Hold Your Breath or No Frame, that I hear some, some of the start of it comes off super industrial, rock-esque in a way, or maybe even metal, dare I say? Maybe. But that's here nor there with that. But overall, guys, this album, as far as I'm concerned, it rocks all the way. But I can't say it's a perfect album, as I have stated, with Wake Me and Sync With You having its moments. The Sync With You, basically, the You Can't Make It Okay. It does get to the point where they kind of repeat it way too much. Even when it gets to the point where it goes from him singing to screaming, it doesn't make up for it that much, and it just kind of just takes you out of it. At first it did. I got used to it eventually, but I could see how some people would still annoy them. Wake Me just being super on a poppier side to the point of making Rapture as a good first single choice seem like not such a bad idea. As in one of the better songs that is of that sound that kind of defines most of what you're going to expect from this album. That's kind of new from the band themselves, but they don't necessarily break new ground in the ways that they were considered to have done back then, sound-wise at least. The only thing that seems to be breaking new ground is the sense of them breaking free of the restrictions of being a Christian band, and that is it. It's kind of, sort of, and given the personal nature, and you can tell that there is a lot of effort put into it, and it's super heavy. It's heavy not in a metal sense so much as it is just more of a rock sense, and at least in like a maybe alternative metal, if anything. More so or less. It's that, it hits that hard. I mean, if some people don't care for electronic stuff in the sense of what Bring Me the Horizon kind of did, it's understandable, but I feel like, and I've heard the stuff from that, and I never really dove into it, but for some reason here, the way Underoath does it, and what they bring to the table, even for more lyrically, and you could tell that the drums, that Aaron's just pounding it. They're more angry. They're more aggressive than they've ever been. And at least with this album, not sure about later stuff, but overall, like I said, this album rocks. I can't say Masterclass certification, but it's definitely, so far, for me at least, it's gonna make it in my top 10 for the year, for sure, unless something else comes around. Which I know something else that beats this out, for the most part, as an album as a whole. And I was hoping to get to that soon, but that soon may not be till another week or so. But by then, I'll probably be talking about Tesseract and Perfect Circle. Or actually, I'll probably wind up talking... I kind of caved and decided I'm going to review Ember from Breaking Benjamin, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. So now I'm going to have to crack down on that stuff. Oh boy. Alright, what did y'all think of Underoath's Erase Me? Also, it actually came in this cover. I just wanted you to see what the actual cover is. What did y'all think? Comment below, leave a comment below, let me know. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rockin'. I'll see you all in the next video, whatever and whenever that may be. Also, link up to my Facebook, check that out as well. Hopefully, if Facebook is still around, because I'm hearing weird things on that. So, if not, then I'm kind of screwed out of social media. So, this may be all I got. Oof. Fingers crossed that ain't the case. I'm not, Zuckerberg can pull his head out of his butt. Nah, whatever. Take care, y'all.